Good morning, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Bold Business. I'm David Grasso from Gen FKD, a nonprofit that helps millennials get the skills they need to succeed. Welcome to a special spooky edition of Bold Business. In honor of Halloween, as you see, I'm dressed as a Desert Storm era soldier. It's actually surprisingly comfortable. My co-anchor today is Monica Link, editor of New York City Wired and founder of Link 4 Productions. Good morning, Monica.
Good morning.
So tell us about your costume of choice.
I am the itsy bitsy spider.
So right up here.
Yes.
There's a spider.
I crawled up the water spout.
Down came the rain and washed the spider out. There's a lot of that here right now. The weather here in New York City is dreadful, people. If you've never been here, great city, but really bad weather.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's already gotten bad, and now 6 months of winter. Better go start hibernating.
Oh, don't scare me. I can't.
We get
I'm
at
from
least.
Michigan. You can't.
Well, that's even 10 times worse. So we'll put that on the side. As a Floridian, the weather here is a 1 out of 10. Anyway, we have a tradition on Bold Business of discussing a few top headlines before we interview several guests. We have an exciting lineup today, Monica.
Yes.
But first, headlines. So here we go. Our first headline is from Bentley University and is in a study about how millennials are getting married later in life or are choosing to say no to marriage entirely. Marriage rates have been plummeting. Today, the average woman waits until she's 27 to get married, and the average man waits until he's 29. That's way up from 20 for women and 23 for men in 1960. A recent report by the Pew Center estimates that 25% of millennials are likely to never get married. So what's the big deal? This article points out that marriage comes with significant economic and social benefits. From Social Security to income taxes, married couples reap the rewards of their love. In the long run, marriage patterns are creating a rift between the married haves and the unmarried have-nots. So Monica, do you think not getting married is hazardous to your financial and emotional health?
Well, yeah. Because you have to pay all the bills. I'm not married and I have 30 jobs. I have like 30 jobs. So, yes.
Hence why you're here on Bold Business with me,
Yes.
getting that side hustle on, practicing what we
Yes.
preach here.
Yes. I need stock in Starbucks. That's what happens when you don't get married. So
I feel like I spend a lot of my check at Starbucks trying to get myself powered up for all these side hustles.
The baristas know me by name. They know my drink. They start making it when I get in line.
They see your face and they say caramel macchiato, they just know.
They just give it to me. Yes.
You know, I would 100% agree with you. I think not getting married is very hazardous to you, at least your financial health.
Yes.
Emotional health, that largely depends on the person you're with. If they're
Yeah.
toxic, they can drive you down. Marriage is one of those things that can either pull you up or drive you down.
Yeah. Yeah. I know a lot of happily married people, so I'm so pro-marriage, but unfortunately, it's so hard to find that match.
Well, I was hoping, Monica, that you push back a little bit, you know, as that single, strong lady who doesn't need anyone in her life to succeed.
Well, I don't need anyone in my life to succeed, but, you know, half the bills is kind of nice.
Well, I know a lot of anti-marriage people. In fact, one of our guests, I won't name any names, is like the face of the movement.
Yes.
But, you know, we won't give her a hard time.
No. Because I think marriage is like a personal choice, and you have to do it when you're ready for it. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and marriage is a huge creator of wealth, but divorce is the biggest destroyer of wealth in our society. So everyone remember that. You got to pick the right person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, moving on to our next headline. It's from payscale.com and highlights a sudden shift in the 2017 Best Job for Millennials list. The 3 jobs topping the U.S. News and World Reports list don't require college degrees. The 3 top jobs this year are web developer, dental hygienist, and software developer. These rankings are based on the responses of more than 1,000 20 to 34-year-olds. So, Monica, you still think a college degree is valuable? U.S. News and World Reports, those 3 top jobs, no degree necessary.
Yeah, I think it's like, it depends on what you're doing. Obviously, if you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, and you're an accountant, please go to college.
Well, I don't think you can operate on someone without a degree.
But for those, I mean, why not save a little money, get some other certifications if that's your desire. I think college, again, just like marriage, college is a personal choice. Huge commitment, huge financial commitment.
And I think a lot of people don't realize that college is, above all, a financial commitment. It really is, because you're taking yourself, it's a double whammy, because you have tuition, but you're also taking yourself off the job market for the duration of your education.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people leave a lot of money on the table when they don't take advantage of public school. I come from a state where tuition is practically free.
Yeah.
If you have the right GPA. In Florida, we have that luxury. Here in New York, that's also a luxury extended to many people. You know, that we have a program here in New York that pays your tuition.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
fairly new. That didn't exist in our era, but you know. I think that people need to really seriously consider the ramifications of their choices, and it's
Yeah.
hard when you're 17 to make those big choices that can, put you in a huge financial hole if
Yeah.
you pick a very expensive school. Nevertheless, I think a college education is extremely valuable.
It is very valuable, but I am a fan of the gap year. I didn't have one. Like, I was one of those
You're a
people.
fan of the gap year?
I am a fan of the gap year. I did not
Like
have one.
Sasha Obama, didn't she do one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
she
she's the
did
most
one.
famous. She kind of glamorized the gap year.
Yeah, but I feel like if you do the gap year, you need to be enrolled in something that's going to come up in like
Well,
9
she
months.
traveled.
Or
I think she did community
Yeah.
service. She did a lot of stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, it's not the gap year to sit around and watch Wheel of Fortune,
Yeah, you can't be on that PlayStation. That's not going to work.
That sounds
Yeah.
like something a young man like myself would have done with a gap year.
Yeah, no, you got to do something.
You got to
and
get
have
out there.
fun.
You got to go learn a language. Got to do some public
Yeah,
service,
why
et
not?
cetera, et cetera.
Go on the backpack, get to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So our last headline channels a hot button topic that's been in the news in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal and the hashtag #MeToo campaign that went viral. A poll by the Wall Street Journal and NBC News found that about half of all employed women say they have received an unwanted sexual advance or other verbal or physical harassment of a sexual nature at work. The poll also found that 41% of employed men said they had seen a woman receive an unwelcome sexual advance, indicating that men aren't in the dark about this pervasive problem in the workplace. Are you surprised by these statistics, Monica?
No, because I know a lot of women who men say inappropriate things at work all the time, and I've heard it from my friends and I've heard it from a lot of people. So I am not shocked by that statistic. I think one of the things is that when people joke and play around at work, they need to be very careful about what they're joking around, because you never know how the other person is receiving it. And I know that some men innocently thought they were just, oh, I was just joking with her, and then they said something really offensive. So I think it's just one of those things that everybody needs to be consciously aware of what they're saying and how they're treating other people.
And sexual harassment comes in all varieties. It's not just, I think you have to draw the line in the professional workplace,
Yeah.
and you have to be unequivocal that, you're keeping it professional.
Yeah.
And what really surprises me is how many men are like, oh yeah, this is normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like,
Yeah.
oh, I've seen this. So why haven't you done anything about it? Why aren't you trying to change the culture?
Yeah, it's too accepted. I think people just accepted it too much, and now people are, outing it, and I think it's great. I think it's great for women that women are letting their voices be heard and they're sharing their stories. So I hope it keeps going.
Yeah, no, it's really important to put this topic out there. So anyway, we have a lineup of guests for you. Our first guest is the author of Fearless and Free, How Smart Women Pivot and Relaunch Their Careers. Wendy Sachs has a varied career as a storyteller and a media strategist. She's joined by Sarah Hill, of course, the CEO of Bookstr and a regular here on Bold Business. Good morning, ladies.
Hi, thanks for having us, and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I'm feeling like I'm not really in the full Halloween.
Sarah's got the
attire. I
black
find
going.
very
She's
stressful.
supposed to be,
I'm
right?
Elizabeth Banks, dressed up as Steve Jobs.
Nice.
Okay, well, may the odds be ever in your favor.
Female Steve Jobs.
Yeah, there we go.
So, Wendy, what inspired you to write the book?
The book really was birthed out of a personal experience, many personal experiences. I had lost my job, and I started to panic. I was over 40, working in industries that are very young, media, publishing, advertising, and those industries have been completely disrupted by digital. And when I lost my job, I really started to panic. I really wondered, how am I going to get rehired? What do I need to do to sort of tell my narrative, sell my story a little bit better, because I was going on all of these job interviews at all of these bright and shiny media startups in New York City, and I was sitting across the table from all these bearded millennials, and I clearly had the experience, but I wasn't getting the job. So was I overqualified? I couldn't really figure it out. I had done all these really diverse things, but somehow I wasn't getting hired. So it really started me sort of taking a look at, I'll tell you, to be honest, I turned to Silicon Valley, which is what I consider our North Star today, our guiding light, and everything that's bubbling out of everything we do today, from how we communicate and how we date, how we order our food, everything's coming up from Silicon Valley. And I wanted to see the themes that were coming out of the Valley, to see what is it, these ideas about embracing failure and engineering serendipity and the power of networking, all of these different concepts. I thought, well, what if women applied that to their own own careers? What if we could sort of hack these strategies and figure out how to pivot in our own lives, in our own jobs?
Yeah, so I think it's amazing, first of all, and we've had you on Bookstr, and I like can't get enough of this book and
Thank
of you.
you.
I love your story and can
I love
relate to
you.
it. Thank you. So we were speaking just briefly in the green room, kind of about. Well, there's one thing we were talking about. They were talking about like harassment in the workplace, which you're going after right now.
Yeah.
So, one, I guess, how can you be brave in the workplace, have confidence in
Yes.
yourself, and then continue to pivot as you move throughout your career when you are your own like entrepreneur, as you say in the book?
You know, well, first of all, I think it's really interesting what's happening right now with all of these allegations bubbling up with sexual harassment, assault, all of these different concepts. That women are finally feeling emboldened to take some action and to do something about it. There is something about the power of this female solidarity, and men also who are being supportive, but definitely there's some energy that's allowing women to feel that they can really stand up and speak out. And I think that's really, really critical today, that we actually have a voice and own our voice. And it's so important also to have that village, to have that sisterhood, to have that squad behind us, so that we can really, you know, speak up and be heard. And that really does apply to our careers, right? To have that confidence. To one of the things that I talk about in the book is how we can use language that inadvertently diminishes our power. All of those sorries and those shrinker words and those just and those actuallys and those am I making sense? When we speak that way in the workforce, we're really taking power away from ourselves because we're afraid sometimes to be too direct. We're afraid to be called bitchy or bossy or abrasive or aggressive, because you know what? Guys don't like that. And you know what? The other thing, a lot of women in the workplace don't like that either.
Yeah.
So we're being judged. And that has caused us to sometimes dial it back and hedge a little bit instead of coming off too strong. But what that's also doing is taking away our power. So not to sort of really conflate all of these ideas about sexual harassment and how to speak up with confidence, but there is something about being authentic to ourselves and owning our voice and being really aware of how we are projecting and not to be afraid, That's really, I mean, that's the whole point of my book. How can we not be afraid and to go after what we want and just to be badass and bold and go for it?
It's amazing. What do you guys think?
What do you think, Monica?
I just gotta say, hooray! I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. But to your point about when a woman stands up for herself, now she's bitchy, now she's a problem, and you're so right. And for us to just kind of band together, and so I'm such a fan of female empowerment
Thank you.
and groups too. So what do you feel about women joining more women-empowered groups? Is that something that you recommend?
Oh my God, for sure. I mean, here's the thing. I was told that I was too abrasive. I was told I was too direct. I was told that I was.
I interacted with you in the green room. You were very pleasant.
Thank you so much. You know, one of my bosses a few years back, and actually she was a woman, and it was really interesting to me. I was working virtually, and the team that I was working with, a lot of the conversations were actually over the phone, and people thought I thought I was just being really direct. She said I was coming across as too abrasive, which is like code word for you're a bitch, we don't like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And I was really offended by, like, I took it really personally. I felt terrible. I wanted to be liked. We all want to be liked.
Yeah.
So at my next job, that's where I really started dialing it back, and I started dropping in all of these sorry. It was like every time I opened a door, every time I started a conversation,
You
I was
became
apologizing.
Canadian, evidently. Sorry.
Totally.
Do you think that she was threatened by by your demeanor?
You know, it was culturally a little bit different. I think I'm very, she would say, you're just very New York. I didn't really know how to interpret that.
You're from Florida, like me.
I'm from Miami. I don't know, but it really, it made me very self-conscious. And so that was a few years back. And what we are seeing today is almost, and I think probably politically and culturally, and we have people like Beyonce out there being bold and badass and brave and telling it like it is, to politicians, to just like cultural figures that are really creating this energy around female empowerment. I will tell you, when I went to college, being a feminist was not cool and fashionable. It was like frumpy and radical and fringe. These days, we're embracing it, right? So there's something that's happening now that I think is really changing the culture and the dynamic, and really is very empowering for women. But yes, find your squad, find people, find a network. It really helps embolden all of us.
So what can men do?
You guys need to be part of the solution here. You should read the book too.
Yeah.
Fearless and Free is also for the dudes. By the way, men like this book too. But really, you need to be calling out, when you're seeing things that are happening in the workplace where women are being harassed, you need to be speaking up too. And you need to be, in feminist, there is the word men. We need you to be part of this movement
Yeah,
too.
you guys can be our advocates.
Yeah, you're part of the solution.
You said in your book, you gave an example of when someone who became like a mentor to you actually called you out on saying sorry too many times.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that's a tough one. Like, it's a tough line to
Yeah.
walk as a man. But
Yeah.
if you're seeing somebody who's not who's dialing it back as a woman, like if they say something, I would say that's like, go for it. That's a good thing to do, right?
Yeah, no, we need the guys to also make sure that how we are being perceived, because they're seeing us through a lens that's a
Yeah.
little bit different probably than our own. And for them to say, hey, wait, I want you to come off as powerful as you can be. Do not, diminish your strength. Make sure that you're really standing up for yourself. And I've got your back,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so what can the guys do? They can have our back. They can also be speaking up when they see microaggressions happening, or aggressions happening.
They're not all micro. There's some
Not
macro.
the micro,
Yeah.
the big aggression. Speak up, and have the support of the women on your team in the workplace, your sisters, your girlfriends, your moms, everyone.
Awesome.
Well,
Thank
ladies,
you so much.
Sarah Hill, always a pleasure, and Wendy Sachs, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Our next guest is the founder of Firestarter, a company that advises individuals and small businesses, helping them develop, manage, and protect their personal brands. Frances Reimers is here to talk about her professional journey and what you should know about developing your own brand. Welcome, Frances.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good morning.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to you as well. I like this getup.
Oh, this is the most comfy costume I've ever worn in my life.
I'm a huge fan of the romper, so I feel you.
This is like the military romper.
It is the military romper. I love it. I love it. Well, happy Halloween.
So your own brand.
Yes.
You told me when I first met you, you said, David, you are your own brand.
Yes.
And that's the message for everyone, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, we are our own best publicists. And I think it's very important that people understand their message, their narrative. I loved the ladies that were on right before talking about owning your narrative and owning the authenticity of your narrative, because that's extremely important when we're out there in the workplace, in our personal lives. We're living our lives completely online, and that is not something that's ever going to change. And so you have the power to determine how the world is going to view you. So why not harness that and develop it the way that's going to work most effectively for you?
Nice. What's a social media tip? Speaking of owning your brand, how important is social media to that?
It's crucial. It's crucial to understand how social media works, how to use it to your best advantage. It's also good for people to understand that you don't have to be everywhere. If you have one social media platform that you really love, that you really understand, that
Instagram.
right, Instagram is my favorite. I love Instagram. Instagram.
Non-political, that's the best part.
I
Just
love Instagram. But if LinkedIn is your safe,
Oh my God, I love LinkedIn.
yeah, if it is your social media safe place, then by all means own it and use it to the best degree. You do not have to be everywhere all the time. Find a place that you like, own it, and build your brand around it. Believe me, it's much better to be on one platform and use it effectively than be everywhere and be inconsistent.
So, Francis, you run your own company, Firestarter.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. I think all the time you're always clutching that phone. You're like a phone zombie.
Yes, I am a phone zombie.
It's okay. That's part of your work. But you advise a lot of athletes, right?
I do. I work with athletes, celebrities, executives, nonprofits. I have a little bit of everything everywhere. But the universal, people assume, especially in the real world, that because I work with athletes, I don't want to work with them or I can't work with them. Actually, everyone's needs when it comes to brand and understanding social media is universal. It doesn't really matter what you do for a living.
So there's not a certain typology. It's not like, oh, you're an athlete, you're a politician, your needs are different.
No, not really. I mean, each individual has individual things going on in their life, in their business, in their industry that we have to spend special attention on. But how you build your brand, how you execute your brand is pretty universal across the board. It's not different from one side to the other. It's really all about knowing who you are and being able to articulate that out effectively. You just mentioned social media. Social media is a huge component to brand, but I really stress to all of my clients that who you are in real life matters just as much, because the second somebody meets you in the real world and you're nothing like the person that you've created online, you have now just flattened your own brand. So you really, whatever brand you create really has to be something that is 360 degrees of authenticity, because the second you aren't it, you aren't it. So really whatever it is that you want to be and the person that you put out there to the world has to be full and complete all the way around.
So, you talked about do's. How about don'ts?
Don'ts, I think don't stress out. I deal a lot with especially people on the executive side.
Older people who aren't digital natives.
You know
like
what?
ourselves.
I'm not going to participate in ageism, but people
I'm not as young as you think. So.
people
lot of
across
skin
the
cream.
board get really stressed out about, oh, I put this picture up or I said this and everything's going to come rumbling down. We can delete it. I mean, yes, the internet is forever. You shouldn't be posting, scandalous pictures of yourself, but don't stress out so much that one day you posted a picture of what you had for lunch and the next day you post a picture of you in a boardroom full of very high-powered people. If that is authentic to you, then it's okay, and don't be stressed out about what people are thinking. But I do say that to say, fully understand your audience. The biggest thing that get people in trouble with brand, whether it's a corporate brand or a personal brand, is they don't know who the end user is. We often say what we think people want, what we want people to know, not what they want to hear. And so if you truly want your content to resonate, whether you're a person or a company, you need to keep the end user in mind and say what they need to hear. And if you understand that, your content is going to get the likes and the shares and the retweets that we're all looking for that help our brand grow.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So, Monica, what do you think?
Well, I think from a branding perspective, you talked about the do's, you talked about the don'ts. How does networking tie into that and who you're aligned with?
She's a great networker. Let me tell you, I met her and she was right into it. This is what I do. This is who I know. These are my clients.
I love people, and I love having lots and lots of friends.
Yeah.
I have never met a person that was not of value to me. Every person has value. And I think when you go into a networking, you should look in the room and say, every person in here has the potential to help me, or I have the potential to help them. But networking is key for your brand to grow. It's great to be online and witty and funny and engaging, but offline, you have to engage people too. When you meet people, follow up. Send them an email, connect with them on LinkedIn, reach out to them periodically. Every Monday morning, I go through my LinkedIn and I reach out to at least 3 people who I have not talked to in at least 6 months.
That's an amazing habit.
Wow.
No more reason to be like, hey, what's new? I haven't talked to you in forever. How's the wife? How's the
Keep
kids?
a lot of people in your orbit then.
I do. I try to keep people around because the thing is you never know. You never know when someone has a need. You never know when someone is like, oh my God, Francis, yes, you are the person I need right now, or you know this person who I need right now. And that's brand equity. You want that brand equity because when you need something, it's much easier to pick up that phone and be like, it was so great to see you last month. How's everything? And have the person be like, yes, oh my God, you can help me with this. But you have to be authentic. When I go to networking events, I'm never, a car salesman version of myself. I'm me all the time, and I say inappropriate things, and I sit on my phone, and I probably have a few too many Chardonnays, but that's authentically me, and people know that I play hard and I work hard and I get the job done, but you have to keep people constantly rolling in your network, because just because somebody isn't useful to you today does not mean 5 years down the road that they're not a gold mine for you personally or professionally.
Frances Reimers from Firestarter, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to speak with Quentin, Madia, and Noura Jost. Quentin is the director, choreographer, not a photographer, and designer from The Dare Tactic, a New York-based theater company dedicated to producing original works by underrepresented voices. Noura is an intern for Bold TV, a familiar face around here. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much.
You're going to talk about end gaining. I didn't know what that was.
Yeah, end gaining is basically when instead of trying to build a career, you actually just take whichever job comes first, or you try to aim for the highest level job instead of building your resume and getting all of the skills that you need to build yourself a career moving forward.
So, Quentin, do a lot of people do that?
Yeah, it's about taking that risk and applying for that 70K job, whether you necessarily think you're ready for it at the moment, but going for that goal and, skipping some of the stepping stones. Although the stepping stones are great and really useful for people as well, it's being bold enough to go for it.
But you're in the arts. A lot of
Yeah.
times there's a lot of stepping stones, aren't there?
Totally, and that's the kind of life I'm living in right now. It's
We're all living that life.
totally. Networking is super important, and listening to the lady before me talk about networking and hearing that, I was like, wow, that's what we have to do. That's the reaching out to people. Being nice is so important, and
Making friends along the way.
making friends along the way and keeping people
Never
in
know
your
who you're gonna get
radar.
back in touch with.
Exactly.
So, Monica,
Well, first, I want to address the costumes. Can you guys tell us?
Yes,
I want to take a
address the
quick
costumes.
of course.
break because these are cool costumes. You got to tell us really quick, and then we'll get back to the issue at hand.
Absolutely. I'm Chucky Finster from the Rugrats.
Oh,
Nice.
So I don't,
Nice.
the costume.
dating yourself a bit. Young people don't know what the Rugrats
I
is.
know, right? It came with like a red hairpiece and glasses, but I don't need
have the
those.
red hairpiece.
So it's really the perfect costume.
I'm Finn from Adventure Time.
Oh,
You
nice.
look so confused, David.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, so back to networking. So how do you do that in the arts, which I've done a lot of work in the arts myself, and I know sometimes you find people that are great connections, and sometimes you find people that are just kind of in between. They don't really know what project they want to work on.
How do you float yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And I think that starts right at Pace. I went to Pace University, and as soon as you start your journey in the theater community, you're in the theater community. The theater community is very small. Everyone really knows everyone, and it starts with doing the work. If you show up to class and you prove to the people around you that you can do your job and you do it accurately and on time, that's the first step, just showing up and being present. And then I'm very fortunate that throughout undergrad, I got many opportunities from teachers and people that I met through other people. And, that leads me to the jobs that I have now. And, working with the Dare Tactic, it was, hey, you should meet Noura. One of our professors was like, Noura's this really great girl. You guys should hit her up and see what's happening. And then now we're both on senior staff, and it's through a connection a teacher gave us, and now we work closely together every day.
So you work, Noura, with him at the Dare Tactic.
do,
Can you tell
yes.
us a little bit about the Dare Tactic and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. The Dare Tactic is a not-for-profit organization, and we strive to allow people to create art who normally don't get the ability to, so we produce new works. We've also worked with dementia patients because art helps with memory, and so with their short-term memory, it's really helpful. And we have a couple outreach programs where we've worked with high school students as well, and it's just about creating art as many people as possible, and we are doing a
Is
whole...
this mostly shows, theater
Yeah,
productions?
mostly shows, and then I also created a web series through the Dare Tactic that talked about like gender and misogyny, sexism, those types of topics.
Yeah. In 3 years, we produced 10 productions, all while being full-time students.
Wow.
So we
That kind of pads your resume there, doesn't it?
yeah, we really hit the ground running, and I'm forever thankful for it, because from there I've also gotten, a sound design job or a projection design job, and it's all about, using the people around you to better yourselves as well.
And you're always hustling because the arts isn't easy.
Oh, no,
Yes,
it's not.
hustle, hustle, hustle.
not easy.
All about the grind.
Yeah. So, what's your advice for new graduates going into this field, and how can they ground themselves and get to that point where you guys are?
Absolutely. I graduated in this past May, and
Welcome to the real world.
right, welcome to the real world. Adulting is a thing, and I would say, one, always be nice. That is something that was ingrained in me as a child, even just working in community theater in New Jersey. But then also, do the passion projects when they come and when you can do them, but also take the jobs that maybe you're not sure you're ready to do, and do that. Because the first time I ever did a projection design gig, it was something that I was kind of afraid to do. I was like, I don't think I am qualified for this. And then you do the research, you do the job, and you make it work because you have to. And keep in contact with people. Again, the networking thing is huge.
That's why you're here.
Yeah,
Noura
exactly.
brought you with us.
Totally. And it's going to see other people's shows, going to support the work.
And I would also say, know your strengths, and then highlight those on your resume.
Absolutely.
And if you know what your strengths are, then you'll be able to market yourself properly.
Yeah.
Well, Noura and Quentin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
you
you.
for
Thank you for
having
having us.
Absolutely. Next, we're joined by Steve Klinsky. He's the founder and CEO of the Modern States Education Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to making a high-quality college education free of cost and accessible to any person who seeks one. Today, college systems with more than 2 million students have affiliated with the Alliance in New York, Texas, Ohio, Indiana, and Tennessee. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
So tell us, you think college should be accessible and free of costs?
Well, yeah, we think everyone should have a right to go to college, and they shouldn't be closed out for affordability. And so what we've done is there's a new site called modernstates.org that looks like Netflix, but it has about 40 college courses from top professors from around the country, totally for free, with free textbooks that lead to credit at 2,900 major colleges.
Wow. Okay. And how did this come about? And your involvement in this organization?
Yeah, I've been involved in education reform for a long time. I started the first charter school in the state of New York. I started after-school centers. I run Harvard's board for public education policy. And, there's $1.4 trillion of student debt now. It's getting more and more unaffordable. 5 million students take online courses today, but they basically cost as much as going to class physically. And there's been some free courses from great schools called MOOCs, but they don't lead to credit. So the idea was have a set of courses that actually lead to credit, and that's what we've done on modernstates.org.
Do you think a lot of states are moving in the right direction on this front? Because I know here in New York now they're trying to create paths to free or reduce cost college.
Well, there's a lot of great initiatives. The thing about this one is this one actually exists now. So we've all the courses are on the website now. Students are passing, and the way you get credit is there's a test that the College Board has had for 50 years known as the CLEP exam. So they do the advanced placement exams, which are great, and we have those courses, but those are only for high schoolers in May. CLEP exams, which stands for College Level Examination Program, can be used by anybody at any age, and you can take the test any day of the week. So, for example, you can take chemistry from a Columbia professor on our site with free textbooks, and then we're paying for the first 10,000 people to take the CLEP as part of our charity. And the most it costs, even if we don't give it, is only $85 for the CLEP exam to College Board. So instead of paying $1,000 or $2,000 a course, you either get it free from us or for $85 with our free course.
That didn't exist in my day, Monica. Did it?
No.
Yours?
No.
It didn't exist until about last month. We spent about 3 years. I started writing about this back in 2012, and when we couldn't change public policy, we actually started hiring the best professors in the country and producing courses, and it's taken us 3 years to create the set of courses. It's like producing 40 or so different movies, create the textbooks. They're all available. We started over the summer. There's already 30,000 students on the site.
Wow.
And hundreds are taking and passing these courses. But it's only been really up and running since September. So we're here just to let people know it exists. It's like a public library in town that never used to exist.
Wow. So what kind of feedback are you getting from the students who access the site?
Yeah, it's really great, and we're in the process of putting together a video of the people, but it really helps a lot of people of all different types. So the first student who ever passed a course with us was this summer. He's a 17-year-old homeschooler in the state of Washington named William Rush. I called him up to congratulate him. I said, William, do you want to go to college? He says, no, I want to be an electrician. But since then, he's taken 7 more college courses, so maybe he'll change. Another example, we just got a letter from a mom who has a very sick kid who's at the National Institute of Health, a 5-year-old, and she spends every day in the waiting room at the National Institute of Health and was enrolled in a college for tuition, but has been taking our courses on her iPhone in the waiting room and passing courses for free. So, I mean, and there are people who were 1 credit away from graduating, ran out of money, couldn't finish, took our course to graduate. So it's for anybody, any age, anywhere. It's just available now.
So ultimately, they take the course on your website, but then they pass the CLEP exam, correct?
Yes, the CLEP exam is what's been around for 50 years that gives that, you know, if you go to Purdue or Michigan State or Colorado State, they accept the CLEP test. We give the course and the books to train you for the CLEP, and we're paying for the first 10,000 people to take the exams. And after that, we're trying to get more donors, or it's $85.
From Facebook, we're saying, this is great. Freshman year is the most wasted year. So a lot of your freshman year is spent taking general education courses.
Right. Or you could do it for 1 course, 4 courses. We call it freshman year for free because 8 courses is basically a freshman year. But you know, you can use it however you want. You can be a teacher and use it to help your own kids in your own class as a teaching aid. You could help, you know, just use it like Khan Academy to learn the material, but it does lead to credit through the CLEP exam.
So the student loan crisis is calling into question the validity of a college degree. Do you think, you know, something we talked about earlier, is a college degree still relevant in today's world?
Well, I mean, you know, you would hate to have the student loan crisis prevent people from getting a real college degree, and it's still, there's lots of ways to get educated, but we're trying to help people get through the regular college system, and our allies are actually the major, as you started off by mentioning at the beginning, the major state universities like State University of New York, all the public colleges in Ohio, Texas State. People we've talked to are really embracing this because they want an on-ramp to education for, you know, for whoever wants to get an education.
Is there a plan to bring in private universities? I actually spent my freshman year at Wilberforce University in Ohio.
Great school.
Yes, it is. And I wonder, how have they embraced this? Because the cost of education is twice as high there.
Well, what you have to do, and I actually knew Floyd Flake and Marshall Mitchell, who were part of Wilberforce at one point, but you have to look in the catalog, the admissions catalog of whatever school you're interested in, and they already have a page about CLEP exams, whether they accept them or not.
Oh, very
And basically, I don't know about Wilberforce, but for example, in Michigan, University of Michigan doesn't, but Michigan State, where my brothers went, does. So I think the major state universities and many other private universities accept them, and they have for 50 years.
So more or less, how much of a head start can this give you? Can this take out most of your general education requirements?
Well, we actually have 40 courses on the site. They're basically the freshman courses, you know, the sociology, microeconomics, chemistry, and you couldn't get a 4-year degree with them, but you can certainly get a freshman year with them. And if you need 1 or 2 courses to graduate, you could also fill in with them. So it's usable a lot of ways.
A lot of people check off that box, some college, and they didn't finish. So you're seeing a lot of people finishing their degrees then.
Yeah, well, it's one way to finish your degree if you run out of money, or you just, you know, we think it's great to go to 4-year college physically, but if you can't afford it, here's a way to help afford it.
nice.
So what's your advice for people who think that college is out of reach? So first they can go to your website, right?
Well, they can help themselves a lot just by going to modernstates.org and then get a lot of courses done for free, and we're even paying the testing exams now. And
How much are those typically?
They're $85 from the College Board, and we're paying for the first 10,000 test takers as part of our charity. And then beyond that, you know, keep trying, look for financial aid, and you know, and hopefully people can achieve their goal.
Wow. I mean, very innovative idea, working within the system in order to get credits. Did it take you guys a long time to kind of zero in on this idea?
Yeah, we started working in 2012. I started writing editorials on my own. Then I teamed up with a person who ran under a post-secretary of education under Obama and Bush as my co-writer. But it was too hard to change public policy overall. And starting in 2014, we started actually creating the courses, and it's taken us 3 years, and now we've launched it. So that's modernstates.org. It looks like Netflix, and the courses are just there if you want them.
Great idea. Steve Klinsky saying thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you very, very much for letting me tell people.
Of course.
Thank you.
Our next guests are from Reilly's Hemp, a company that provides hemp-based soft chews for pet health challenges. Amanda Reilly and Erica Leeds are here to talk about how phytocannabinoids can help your pets, and we're just getting set up here. Wow, so hemp for pets.
That's right, yeah.
How'd you come up with this idea?
Yeah, actually, hemp saved my dog's life. I have a 15-year-old pit bull, and she has had 2 ACL surgeries. She has really bad arthritis. And so I found actually human CBD oil that I used on her. And she went from being pretty immobile and bedridden to not only wanting to play and wanting to go on walks, but actually making it around the block. So I knew that there would be other dog owners like myself that were seeking some sort of benefit from this. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So it has uses for pets.
it sure does. Yeah.
And it's even controversial right now in the human world, forget in the
Yes.
pet world.
Oh, we know all about it.
We know all about.
Yeah.
So do you get sometimes that response like, "Oh my god, I'm going to give my dog, weed?" Do people say that?
People, yeah, that's the first question people ask is, can it get my dog high? And it definitely cannot get your dog high. And has very trace amounts of THC, so it's, fully illegal, it's vet approved, it's science backed. It cannot get your dog high.
Wow. Does it help with longevity for a pet's life?
Absolutely. Yeah, it actually works with their bodies. All mammals have an endocannabinoid system, so it works to strengthen a dog's immunity. It keeps them stronger for longer.
Yeah, and we actually have a senior product specifically for that to help with, cognitive issues and just like general wellness.
Is this for like pets of any age, or do you recommend this for animals over 10 years old?
Not at all. You can use it. A lot of trainers will use it for puppy training.
Oh, nice.
So from puppy to senior care and to life care through the entire dog's life, it has all sorts of benefits.
So where did this come from? Where did this idea come from? Tell us about yourselves and how you came up with this idea.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Amanda, and we're 2 of the founders of the company. And again, it just came from needing something for my dog. So when I discovered the CBDs for her and from the human world, I realized that there was a need there. So that's where we came up with the chews.
And how did you get on board with this idea with Amanda?
Well, we've been best friends for 6 years, and when she first came up with the idea, I thought it was amazing, and so she called me on to do the packaging and to be a part of the whole creative.
So you came up with this packaging.
Yeah, I mean, it's a joint effort, but yes, I do most of the creative stuff.
So tell us a little bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Is it as hard as everyone says it is?
It sure is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not easy. Those packages didn't come out of thin air, did
No,
they?
they didn't. But what's great about it is that this is the only one available on the market that is cold pressed, so it has all the nutrients, and it's like a treat. So dogs love to take it. They beg for it. So that's really something awesome that we offer that's different from other products.
Wow. So do you do product testing, or how did you guys test the product out to make sure that the, dogs, and is it just dogs or is this for cats or?
It's palatted for dogs, although we have many people that give it to their cats. If they'll eat it, it's just fine for them because it's all
Like
by
a
weight.
ferret or anything like
Sure,
that?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yep, if
Other
they'll eat
domestic animals?
it. Totally,
Yeah.
yep, it's all by weight, so it's fine for them as well.
So you're in Vermont, is that correct?
The company, all the products are made in Vermont, but we're actually based out of New York.
Oh, okay. So you're doing it right, getting it from the
Yeah, we go back and forth a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about how you had this idea, but then actually like manufacturing this can't be easy.
It's not, and that's why it's very helpful that my father is a manufacturer.
Oh,
We
go
keep it all in the
figure.
family, yeah. So everything is great because obviously we trust everybody that we work with. Everything is third-party tested from the ingredients. We get organic hemp to the final product, and then we've tested it on just every dog we come across. We have a huge influx of dog friends and family that we've given the treats to, and tons of testimonials about how it's changed other dogs' lives as well.
We
So
get
we're really
emails
proud of that.
every day, literally
Yeah.
every day from people that are like, "Thank you so much. This is calming my dog," or now he's walking so much better. It's just, it's been
It's
really
been great.
good.
Yeah.
How has the response been from the pet industry as far as makers of supplements and food?
That's interesting.
Yeah. No, it's been really good actually.
Are you in PetSmart or anything like that?
We're not in PetSmart. We're still in what's known as pet specialty. So like your
Okay.
mom and pop stores and online. We haven't hit the mass market. So the quality is really there. And we really like to work with our local stores. But there's been such a great response, and it's because, you know, these stores are looking for solutions for the customers that come in every day. And this is something that they can offer and know that it works and be really proud to carry.
So do you use it on your own dogs? Do you both have dogs?
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
I have 2 dogs.
I have a stepdog. And
You have a stepdog?
yeah, every day I give him several actually.
And what actually happens? So, like, I have a dog, I give him the hemp chew.
My dog, he's pretty rambunctious, so we give him the Calm, and that just
Oh, because
within
there's
20
joint support,
Yeah.
calm, and neuro.
Neurocognitive support.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's actually 5 SKUs. So essentially, when I started creating this, I wanted to not just have the CBDs from the hemp for dogs, but I wanted to figure out what's the best possible thing I can give a dog for a specific ailment. So if a dog is having, you know, hip and joint issues, CBDs are amazing for any sort of anti-inflammation qualities. So they're really good for any sort of achy joints or arthritis, etc. But then we also put, you know, glucosamine and MSM in there. So there are supplements that are really whole body, and then we have 5 different SKUs that are specifically catered to what a dog might need.
So we're running out of time, but we always ask all the entrepreneurs that come on the show the same question.
Okay.
What's your advice for other budding entrepreneurs?
Oh, just stick to it and believe. If you're fully committed and passionate about whatever you're creating, then the rest is just comes along with it, right?
Yeah.
You just have to like
Keep
really
going.
believe in what you're doing.
Keep going.
Doing it.
A lot of people
Yeah.
say just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
I mean, nothing to do with that brand Nike, but you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, no, we get that answer a lot, and it's something that I'm happy to have entrepreneurs that talk about their journey and give advice to others, and it's remarkably similar across whether it's pet chews or a market-based platform that we have on next. It seems
Right.
like the advice is fairly similar.
Don't give up.
Don't
Never
give up,
Never
yeah.
give up.
And lastly, what's your website so people know where they can find?
Yep, so it's just Reilly'sHempFit.com. So it's pretty easy to find us. Yep.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
and
you
talk
so
about your
much for having
product.
us.
Thanks. Rohan Duggal will be joining us next. He's the founder of EpiFruit, a market-based platform that connects individuals and businesses to achieve a delivery. They maximize efficiency, cash flow, and atmosphere for both parties involved with the last mile delivery. We're just taking down here. It looks like we have a hemp chew still sitting there. What's up?
Hey, how's it going today?
Good. So tell us about your platform. What is EpiFruit all about?
So it's a market-based platform that connects businesses together with independent contractors in the area that can help facilitate deliveries for those businesses. So let's say I'm a wine shop and I need 2 bags of wine delivered 15 blocks or something. I can go on my...
To my house.
Yes, to your house, exactly.
Having some friends over.
Targeting businesses, so it's not something the consumer would know about. So let's say me as the retail owner, I need something delivered to you. I'll go on my platform saying I need this bag of wine delivered, this is the address, and I'm willing to spend between $5 and $8. It's a minimum and maximum bid price that you'd put out there, and people in a 20-block radius would bid on the job. So if I'm Dave and I'm 3 blocks away, maybe I do it for $5. If I'm Chris and I'm 7 blocks away, maybe I do it for $8. If I'm Dan and I'm a little bit farther than that, maybe I do it for a little bit more. These bids come back to the retailer or the business, and they pick their driver based on preferences of distance, ratings, price, etc. And they connect with the driver, and there's double verification as far as signatures go, and that's it.
So is this kind of like Uber for delivery in a sense?
I
for a
kind
small
of like to
business?
think of it as seamless for delivery because it's
Seamless is a food delivery service here in New York City for people who don't know what that is.
yes, it's actually a demand generator. Seamless. Seamless doesn't actually. Here's the biggest problem that people think. So they think Seamless delivers to your door. Seamless does not deliver to your door. What Seamless does is they're a middleman. And what they do is they get an order and they pass it to the retailer. Now it's the retailer's job to make the food and deliver the product to you. And Seamless is just taking a cut out of that, which is fine. But the retailer has to do all the big work there. And the biggest work is getting the delivery done. Me as a business owner in New York, I know for a fact that, when I got into my business, which is the wine trade, I got in it to sell wine. Now you're asking me to be a courier service on top of that. So, in New York, you might get on average between like 30 to 50 deliveries a day, depending on what industry you're in. And that could be overwhelming to somebody who just really wants to sell wine. So I'm trying to solve a problem that's going to become even more apparent in the next couple of years.
So a lot of people are impressed with that, and a lot of my neighbors ask me in the elevator. I get everything delivered. I don't go to a store. I'm like Mr. Amazon, Mr. Seamless. I get everything delivered to my house. So you think this is only going to grow because people like me, I mean, just yesterday my neighbor was telling me, how do you get your groceries delivered? Tell me how to do it. I'm tired. I get my shoes delivered. I get my suits delivered. I get everything delivered. Do you think a lot of people are going to start doing that?
They better. I mean, to be honest, if you're not doing it right now, you're losing about 30% of revenue. That's about what the typical delivery brings you, about 30 to 40% extra revenue. So if you're not doing it, you're kind of a dinosaur in my eyes. And more importantly, big companies are doing it. Amazon just bought Whole Foods. They're going to be a retailer in New York. They're going to be doing like same hour deliveries pretty soon. And that's going to be kind of crushing to a mom and pop store because ultimately, how do you compete with someone like Amazon? They have the most variety. They have cheapest. They're doing same day deliveries now. You have to be able to deliver on the spot and give the same type of preferences and services that they're providing. And if you're not able to do that, you're going to be gone pretty soon.
So what's the strangest thing you've ever seen asked for delivery? That's a question from the audience
That's
here.
an interesting question. You know what? I mean, like I own a wine shop in Manhattan called Columbia Wine Company, and people ask me all the time to deliver like ice or like.
Well, they want the whole thing. Bring the solo cups and the ice, and the, take everything.
Solo cups.
I mean,
Solo cups, wine glasses. Sorry.
as a wine shop, I'm only allowed to sell wine and spirits. So, I mean, that's kind of odd that people ask me for like water sometimes, So
Well, you need water after you drink the wine.
Sure, absolutely. But those are probably like the most odd ones I get.
What areas are you in?
Oh, are you talking about EpiFruit?
Yes.
Well, EpiFruit is going to be a platform that is all over Manhattan. So it's going to be encompassing businesses throughout the city. We're going to be starting in Washington Heights. It's not up live yet. We've been doing a lot of test marketing and a lot of testing in certain areas. We're going to be launching in about a month's time in Washington Heights. We have about 50 retailers that are saying that they're going to be using the platform, and we're anticipating about 400 people to join the platform right away as far as being workers. So
you came up with this idea because you are already a retailer with your wine stores, and you saw the need for people to deliver stuff.
Exactly. I mean, me as a business owner, I remember a time around Christmas, the holiday seasons, people fighting over who's going to do what delivery, who's getting what tip. It was like a huge problem in my store because we're averaging 40, 50 deliveries a day. The average, tip could be potentially $6, $7 per transactions. And to certain individuals, that's a lot of money to some people. So, I mean, there was like, animosity amongst coworkers because of this. And, I saw it as something that was only going to become even bigger, a bigger problem as the laws were changing, as costs were going up. It was just going to become even a bigger problem. So I was thinking in my head, like, how do I solve this? Because this is not something I want to deal with going forward. And, I did my research and I saw that there wasn't anyone that was like a market leader in this industry. And I said, why not me? Why couldn't I do it?
Wow. Well, Rohan Duggal, is it?
Rohan Duggal, yeah.
Rohan Duggal, the founder of EpiFruit. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, guys.
So our last guest, but certainly not least, we have hair restoration specialist Danielle Grillo joining Bold Business. She has 18 years of experience in all aspects of non-surgical hair replacement for men, women, and children. She's also a regular Huffington Post contributor. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Looks like you brought your wares with you.
I did. Some of my friends.
So Danielle, one of the most shocking things I saw, and I think we have the video, you could go ahead and play it. I'm sure you've seen this. So I saw that, and that was in the past year on social media, and I thought, oh my God, people are doing this?
That's a little bit different than what we do, but it is, people are doing, they're replacing their hair for.
So yeah, I'm sure there's some variety, but when I saw you and I saw your description, I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop but think of that video. So what is it that you do?
We do all non-surgical hair replacement. We focus on the CNC hair and scalp prosthetic, which is a bit different than your traditional piece or wig, if you will. It is a true hair and scalp prosthetic. It's made with 3D printing to help keep the fit. It's an amazing, amazing fit. It's like a contact lens on your eye, as it would be on your head. It fits the same. It's only made with a natural virgin hair, meaning there's no processing, no coloring, no anything done. It's all natural as it is in nature. Like literally curly, wavy, straight, blonde, brown, it's all natural hair.
Wow. So talk about who are the clients, the primary clients for your product?
The primary clients for the product it's really anybody that's experiencing any kind of thinning or hair loss, but we do focus on.
Like all men?
Well, not all men, but we focus a lot with different kinds of alopecias. Also, any people that have gone through any kind of cancer or have scarring alopecia due to radiation. Various types, even to androgenetic, which is hereditary hair loss, alopecia totalis, areata, all of from the A to Z of hair loss is what we really try to focus on for anybody.
And can you speak to women and hair loss just briefly? Because one of the things I know is that women don't necessarily like to talk about this. I know men are very open because it's an accepted thing. You know, a guy can just shave his head.
Bald or balding.
Right. But it's a very sensitive topic for a lot of women. So how do you deal with those type of clients? And if you can just speak to that.
Well, that's actually a lot of our clients, and men and women alike. Not all men want to speak of it, but women, it's because that is what, in most cases, they think, oh, this is what defines me. This is the first thing people see, and they become ashamed and they become embarrassed, and they shouldn't. It's not something to be embarrassed about. They're doing something to make themselves feel better, to make them, if they happen to be sick. A lot of times, once they fix their hair, they actually start to feel better. It's the positive attitude. It really makes a change. And the women, a lot of them don't want to talk about it, but it's amazing when they find something that really, really helps them regain their confidence and live their life, they do want to talk about it more so than previously.
So do you deal with a lot of people who are suffering from cancer and whatnot as well?
Yes, we have a lot of people that suffer from cancer and other illnesses as well.
Does it bring you joy to make them feel beautiful?
It brings me extreme joy to be able to share such a personal time in someone's life and their story. Sometimes I'm the only person that they've ever told their story to. So it brings me a lot of joy. That's why I'm passionate about what I do, because to be able to help these people, and a lot of them in their biggest time of need, it's amazing to be able to make a change in their life.
Is this permanent? This is an audience question. Would this be good with someone from temporary hair loss from chemo?
Yeah, well, it can be done also for someone that has temporary hair loss, because you think of the temporary loss, if they lose all of their hair, for example, if they have longer hair, it will take them a longer period of time for their hair to grow back, and it can be applied to existing hair. If they have no hair whatsoever, there's no need to shave your head to be able to have the CNC. There's no, because of the process, the way it's done with the 3D printing, you can have some hair or no hair at all. There's no reason to shave or cut your existing hair down.
What's the turnaround time if someone places an order and they want, to customize it for the person? How long does it take?
They're all only custom. It's we always say it's ultra custom because you're choosing every single aspect of this.
So you're choosing the color, the
You're
texture.
choosing, yes, the scalp color of the actual prosthetic is to match your scalp color. The hair color, the hair denier, which is the strand density, the hair wave, the texture, the growth direction in which your hair grew or you want it to grow. So it's a 39-step process. It generally takes 12 weeks. the turnaround time. If it's a special situation that it's something could be time sensitive, there are sometimes we can try to expedite something from the factory if necessary.
So do you 3D print them right here locally?
No, we take all of the measurements, very specific measurements, which were called parameters. It's the area in which the prosthetic needs to be placed, whether it's the whole head, top of the head, side of the head, anything. We take all the measurements. We take all of the everything, the color, the scalp color, we do all of that. Then all of those specifications are then shipped to the factory in Italy where the 3D printing process begins.
Italy, oh, fashionable ways.
Yes, that's where the factory is. CR Lab is in Bologna, Italy.
So Danielle, as an entrepreneur, you've been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
What advice do you have for others? Because you're on your own, right? You do this. This is your company. This is the manifestation of your hard work. What is your advice for other entrepreneurs?
My advice is before you get involved with anything, whatever it is that your chosen field, to educate yourself on every single aspect of it, even if it's something that you're not going to be specifically focusing on. You need to touch on every single aspect of your given profession to be an expert in your field about anything. So education is key, in my opinion.
Education is key. That's a new one. So Monica, any questions?
I am just fascinated by the product itself. If I can just, it's amazing. So I just think it's a great product, and I know, like, especially with women, and so I'm always passionate about women and beauty and that kind of thing, because I think women kind of understand just even if with hair loss, with even whether it's cancer or something non-cancer related, it's just such a sensitive thing, and it's so nice to have a product like this to really just kind of help people out. So I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, Danielle, someone from the audience, Audra Rackley, says you're an inspiration.
I love her.
But Danielle Grillo, owner of Transition Hair Solutions, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And as always, we'd like to thank you for watching Bold Business. A special thanks goes out to our teams from Gen FKD and Bold TV who help put this show together every single week. Yes. Additionally, I'd also like to thank my co-host, Monica Link.
Thank you.
New York City Wired, check it out. And your production company's called?
Link 4 Productions.
There we go. We all have our side hustle. And speaking of side hustle, join us next week for another edition of Bold Business. We'll see you then.
Bye-bye.